Good morning, Broadcast Sunny friends. This is Life Full of Experiences podcast. It's been a rough couple of weeks, and I'm not completely sure what the future has to hold, so it's a bit nerve-wracking. And that is what brings me to this podcast, is how to handle these long-term stresses that you do not have the control over. First, I want to point out during this difficult time, I've been thinking about Denise Lynn and how she would say, we are here to experience life. We are here to experience the emotions of life. So when we wake up and we're like sad and depressed, she likes to think of it as, oh, today I'm going to experience depression or sadness. Okay, let's do this, which I find a bit amusing. I like this concept. I've used it and it gives me a bit of a detachment between who I am and my emotions, and it helps me to see things a bit more objectively. I know emotions can make you do things, or you end up doing things that you wouldn't do under normal circumstances. So I like that little detachment. It also reminds me of Viktor Frankl, who said there can be an action, but there is a moment between the action and your reaction that you actually decide what that reaction is going to be, because that reaction can have consequences and such. So, that is one thought I had. Another thing that has helped me is I went back and watched my video on 10 ways to beat the blues, which each item in that list is research-based, and there were a couple of them that I forgot about, like the yoga pose and, believe it or not, listening to music. I don't listen to music that often, oddly, unless I'm reminded of it. There were some other things that I hope maybe will help you too. Moving on, one of the other things I have been reading about has been resilience. And resilience is being able to, get through a tough time and still stay on your goal and path to persevere even during tough times, I suppose is a better way to say it. And within resilience, one of the attributes to be resilient is self-compassion. And self-compassion is basically kindness to yourself. So, and then that has more aspects to it. And one of them is what we control and what we don't control, and accepting what we can't control. So there are two different types of control. They call them locus of control. I just hate that term. It means like source or origin of the control. I hate that term because it makes me think of the bugs. But there's internal and external. The internal is like your self-talk, and we do have control over that. Even though it doesn't feel like it, we do have control over the negative or the critical talk, and we can turn it to positive. We can turn positive to negative, I suppose, too, but who wants to do that? But then there is external locus of control, and that at times we don't have control over. Like, if we see a ball coming at us, we can catch it. We have control over that. But there are some things like maybe an illness or a death or the weather that we don't have control over, that is outside of us. One way to have self-compassion of yourself during these moments of non-control and wanting to have that control is recognizing, validating the situation, and then recognizing that it's not your fault. So you sit there and you say, this sucks, but it's not my fault, and I did the best I could under the circumstances. And by doing this, when you validate it, you're not ignoring it, and it doesn't fester and become this big ugly thing. And then when you recognize it's not your fault, then you're telling yourself, you're reminding yourself to let go. For me, it's almost a letting go, like, don't harp on this because you don't have control, let it be. But it also says you'll do the best you can in the future as well. So in a simple case is the other day I wanted to go out running and it was cold and wet and rainy. So I didn't want to catch a cold. So I didn't have control over the weather. So I really couldn't run when I wanted to. What I do have control over is my schedule. So I moved my running time to the afternoon. So part of that self-compassion is, okay, I need to do what's important to me. I don't have control over this, so let it go. And what do you have control over? And do that. Move things around. And so as we go forward, there's going to be many things we won't have control over, whether it's something we hear in the news, it is something that is happening to somebody else that we know. And here are some techniques that may help you overcome these external forces that we don't have control over. First, try taking mindful moments for yourself, a deep breath. Stay present and focus on the here and now. You can look around you, see what's in front of you, and that may help. Listen to the sounds, smell, breathe, taste. Try all of that to be in the present. I also had a yogi teacher who told me once that deep breathe. It's hard to be angry when you're deep breathing. And although I don't know of any studies that actually study this, there might be some, but I'm unaware. From my experience, that does seem to be true. I just have to remember to deep breathe when those moments come up. Second, find friends, family, and groups to lean on when things are getting overwhelming. So you can share your experiences with them and commiserate together, maybe find solutions together. I personally think it's best to meet in person because there's this spark of energy that you cannot get with an online meet. I'm not saying don't online meet, go for it. I do. But that in person is always, I think, more invigorating and more comforting than, say, an online meetup. And I also encourage you just to get out. Maybe it's not always something so you can commiserate. Maybe it's just just being around people in a group, like a book club. I find the libraries are where we meet as a community, and I recommend it. Third, eat right, exercise, and sleep well. This, of course, helps in all aspects of our lives, but it can always use reminding. 4, write down your priorities and make a plan to protect them. This way, it's easier to communicate to others what is important to you and what your boundaries are, as well as to yourself. Because sometimes you'll come across a dilemma and you're not sure what to do, and knowing what your priorities or your mission statement is helps you make that decision. Lastly, accept that there are things that you will not be able to change, and then acknowledge when you can change them. This sucks, but it's not my fault. I've got a plan on the things that I can control, and then find the courage to change them. The courage, the motivation, because, I wanted to run. And then it would have been easy to just say, forget it, I'm not going to run today. But no, I could control my schedule, so I moved it. Those are my little nuggets of advice for you this week. I'm going to also leave you with some homework. This week, it's the gratitude journal. I was brought up with a mom who liked to pound in us, be grateful for this, that, and the other thing, that so much so that we would roll our eyes. It wasn't until I was older that I realized how important being grateful is. I know there's been studies out there that show being grateful helps with well-being. This week, I'm hoping to keep a gratitude journal where I write 3 things each week. I'm going to make them unique in each case because I know, like, my daughter will put her dog on every one for the next 7 days. However, I find I want to have something grateful for each day, 3 different things, because you see the things that you've been taking for granted and they're little things often, and then you see that you're surrounded by a lot of things that are good. Even if it's something as simple as the roof over my head, the food on the table, and the beautiful tree outside. For today, this morning, my things that I am grateful for: morning tea. I love my morning tea. It is the perfect cup of tea, almost the perfect cup of tea. Perfect cup of tea I had in London. It was at the hotel, not at one of those high teas, oddly. But yes, my morning cup of tea, I try to bring it here. My secret tip is using the British PG tips and evaporated milk, because they did something with their milk that was freaking amazing. Anyway, then I would say I have a fresh bowl of blueberries in the fridge I will have this afternoon. And I have my Bon chocolates, which these are, I'm going to save for later, delicious. This one is strawberry and balsamic. Let me get my glasses. Candied strawberries, balsamic reduction, olive oil ganache. I know it sounds weird, doesn't it? And yet it's so divine. I had one that was grilled beets and carrots with goat cheese caramel. Lovely. It was amazing. So my Bon chocolate, morning tea, and blueberries. I might be hungry. I just realized that's all food, well, tea, but still. That is my 3 things to be grateful for. Please let me know what you're grateful for, because I love sharing. This is my little broadcast, Sunny, for you today. And until next week, may peace and calm find you.